You could call them centrosome.
Are they always
or
in pairs?
Or you could call them centriole pairs. Until they split apart. Yeah.
So until cell division, then.
Until they break up. They're a pair.
Gotcha.
Cell division breaks them up, yes. So, okay, the cell. So, first off, did you like the video last time, the virus thing?
Yeah.
That's
Interesting.
pretty good, right?
That was well done.
So I'm not going to draw that because that's going to be really hard. But imagine a double phospholipid bilayer with the virus and a bunch of other stuff inside of it. That's what these vesicles basically are. So when you look at pictures of the cell and you see vesicles, little bubbles all around, they are basically just little bits of membrane holding stuff inside. And so we call some of them very specific names depending on what they're holding inside. So when something comes in the membrane, it gets surrounded by part of the membrane, and then it travels through the cell in a little protective envelope like that. And then we also have little vesicles floating around inside the cell that come from other parts of the cell that make stuff. So your cells are going to be making proteins sometimes, and amino acids sometimes, and lipids sometimes. There's lots of chemistry that goes on inside the cell. And when those products are made, they get packaged in a vesicle. So a vesicle is like a little box that carries stuff around in the cell. So once something is in the cell, it gets put in a box, and then it goes where it's supposed to go. When things are made inside the cell, it gets put in a box. We call these boxes like vesicles to ship them around. So this is my nucleus, the control center. I don't know why we call it that, honestly. I don't think it's, I mean, I get it, but it's not really accurate. It's just, it's almost like, it's like a recipe cabinet is what I would call it, because it holds the genetic material. The genetic material is really a recipe for making proteins. Then this darker spot inside the nucleus is the nucleolus. This weird spiky stuff all around my nucleus with dots is the rough ER. Endoplasmic reticulum is what ER stands for. It's labeled up there. And there's also smooth ER, which doesn't have those little dots around it. So this is rough because see they're kind of brown dots all around the outside of that membrane. And then the smooth ER doesn't have brown dots. The brown dots are ribosomes, and some of them are just floating free inside the cell, and some of them are attached to the rough ER. So these are just structures, and we're going to go through the functions of all of them. I'll just run through the PowerPoint rather than writing them all because I'm already starting to get tired. These are mitochondria, and the high school and middle school teachers always tell you they're the
powerhouse of the cell.
Powerhouse of the cell. I'm not allowed to say that. My daughter banned me.
Why?
She said she heard it too much in school. She was sick of hearing powerhouse of the cell. She said, I'm never allowed to say that again. Every time she heard it from a teacher, she would just roll her eyes. Like, come on, be original. It's the energy transformation station.
That's more fun to say.
It is more fun to say. It sounds more scholarly, if nothing else. It just transforms energy from one type to another type. That's what it does. That's its job. If this was a plant cell, it would also have chloroplasts inside of it. Yeah, which does photosynthesis. So here's my plant cell. These are my chloroplasts. Notice the plant cell also has mitochondria for energy transformation. But the chloroplasts are able to absorb solar energy and change it into chemical energy. And then the mitochondria takes the chemical energy and converts it into an energy supply that the cell can really use. Animal cells can't convert sunlight into chemical energy. So animal cells have to get their chemical energy from where? where do you get your chemical energy? From food, right? So if an organism can't photosynthesize, it's got to get chemical energy from somewhere. So it eats or absorbs from the environment if it's like a bacterium. Plants can use sunlight to make their own chemical energy. They don't have to eat anything or absorb anything for energy except sunshine, and then convert that into ATP. So the mitochondria synthesizes ATP synthesis from other chemicals. Precisely the sugars and the proteins, the sugars, the amino acids, and the fats that you eat. It can change those into an ATP molecule. All right, so all of these little lines that I drew are the cytoskeleton. So remember that once the virus was inside, it was inside this vesicle, it was just free floating until it was able to attach to motor proteins, and then the motor proteins attached the whole cargo bit to the cytoskeleton. So the microtubules that run all around like little highways, those motor proteins haul things around so they get somewhere. Otherwise they just free float. And the motor protein doesn't have a consciousness. It doesn't think to itself, oh, I'm taking you to the Golgi apparatus, or I'm going to take you to the cell membrane or the nucleus. It just travels. And when the package eventually gets where it's supposed to be going, then it's used. Sometimes it doesn't get where it's supposed to have been going, and it gets recycled. So, but there's enough of this stuff going around inside the cell that the chemical reactions still work, they still happen, and all is well with the world, theoretically. So let's talk about structures in the cell and what cells are. They're tiny. And the reason being is because you have more surface area if you have tiny things compared to the volume inside of them, versus one great big box. One great big cell has a lot of volume, and in fact has the same volume as all these little ones. They hold the same amount. It's just these are a bunch of little packages, and that's one great big one, right? That makes sense. But with these, you have a lot more surface area for each one, and so the cell membrane is what lets chemicals and products come into the cell that's needed for the cell to maintain its metabolism or its chemical reactions. And it allows the raw products that the cell makes to leave the cell, because sometimes your cells make things like hormones and they need to get out of the cell and get in the bloodstream and go somewhere else. And sometimes your cell does things that creates waste products that need to get out. So carbon dioxide is a number one waste product. So lots of surface area lets you have lots of windows and doors to get all that stuff in and out. So that's why they have to stay small. So that's the surface area to volume concept that you might hear now and again. Why cells are so small? That's why. Two main types of cells. We have prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So the prokaryotes if you can tell, they look more simple, first off, like compared to this. This is real busy compared to that. But they don't have organelles, like, specific structures that do very specific functions that have a membrane around them. Prokaryotes don't have that. They don't even have a nucleus. They do have a little area of the bacterial cell where the genetic material is sort of clustered together. We call that a nucleoid sometimes. But eukaryotes have a true membrane